So hi everybody, welcome to the Ragic webinar. My name is Fabio, your Ragic webinar speaker as usual if you have followed the previous webinars. And today we're going to talk about a more advanced and specific part of using and designing a Ragic database, which is called creating database workflows. Now, workflows are really important in your database, especially when you are part of a large company that needs, or even some small companies that needs a customized system to process some data. And let's just wait a few more minutes to allow more people to join. And during the meantime, feel free to ask questions about this webinar or anything in Ragic as usual. And welcome user DDG_work. Thanks for creating a database in Ragic, and if you have any questions with using or designing your Ragic database, or such as simply how to use certain functions or needing some design suggestions, you may ask me right here and I'll see if I could tell you about it orally. Or on the other hand, the best is to click on the Need Help button located on the top right corner of your database, which is right here, this top right corner right here. If you could see, clicking on this, and then you can submit a support ticket here. We'll then be able to have a look at your database and then to give you detailed design suggestions. For user DDG work, are you referring to the Ragic office hour webinar? Well, I would say that in our webinars, I like to do this with a certain topic right now instead of just an open office where I receive a lot of your information and then I answer them orally. Oh, sorry, I have to call. All right, I'll call you down. All right, sorry, down. Well, if you have a lot of questions, I still suggest you submit a support ticket because, well, first of all, your questions may be having a lot of details, and then we'll also need to provide you with a lot of details. And it will be easier for us to respond to you via a support ticket email. And also, sometimes your questions, for example, if you have present us with 5 questions, certain questions will be correlated to each other, and it will be easier for us to answer them via email and then explain how you can do everything step by step. So no matter how many questions you have, we always welcome them, but it will be easier for both of us to communicate via a support ticket email. And even if needed, if sometimes you may want us to, such as provide you with a deeper understanding of Ragic. Well, if needed, we can arrange a conference call to do so. But however, the best part with our communication with our clients, the best way to do so is to do it via support tickets. well, if you would like to like ask certain specifics about the basics, well, I would say probably my next webinar I'll be going back to a more basic design of the database, and from there you can ask. I'll be basically starting a whole new database from scratch, and a whole new database from scratch. And if you have any questions with my design of how to design a new database, then feel free to ask, and and I'll try to answer them during the live stream. And one last question. We do have a lot of questions today just before the webinar actually starts from user Mr. Francisco Galdamez. If you would like me to talk more about the background restore features, I think I will be able to do so if I have time during this end of this webinar, I'll say, because this webinar I'll be going into quite a bit more details in terms of building our workflow. And let's just get started right now. I guess we're 6 minutes past the original start time. Well, I'm really happy that you guys are asking questions and being active in this webinar. And yeah, keep asking questions whenever you see there's whenever you would like to ask during my webinar today. All right, so why do we create workflows? As you've seen today, my topic is going to be talking about creating database workflows, and this is important because every organization, especially larger ones, you have your own internal processes and regulations, such as how one department communicates with another department, such as a sales department submitting financial details to the accounting or finance department, or how do you pass on documents from you to your supervisor to the CEO step by step, etc. And in addition, approvals will be also important during workflows, because you need to get approvals from the first step to go to the next step. That's how I'd say a lot of organizations work. And with Ragic, it is really easy to design and use. So basically, some of the functions I'll be talking about today are access rights, setting different access rights on different sheets, converting records, which is simply, I kind of say it in a very colloquial way, which is simply throwing data from one sheet to another and create a new record for it, setting out approval flows and also using it, certain field configurations which will help making your workflow better, and also use of action buttons and also some of its advanced settings. All right, for this webinar, I've already created 3 existing sheets. I will be doing a mock of such as like a business travel request. So it's more like if you would need to travel for a business matter, how are you going to inform it to your supervisors, to anyone related, and how are you going to get the money for it? So this will be a very simple system. But you can, while you're designing your own system, you can go into more detail. And also a bit different for this webinar is that I have pre-designed those sheets instead of starting the whole sheet design from scratch. And because if I simply build a new sheet from scratch, I think this webinar would take like 5 hours, and that will not be ideal. So let's get started with my first sheet called the business travel request. So right now, let's go to the form page. I haven't submitted anything right now yet. So this is how my simple sheet looks. So you have like the request date, the submitter, the position, purpose, and your detailed travel plan, and certain fields. And of course, just remember that in your Ragic database, you can design any fields you'd like, use any different functions, create different relationships, etc. So The most important thing is just to show you how the key parts of this sheet design. So let's go to change design right now, which enters the design mode of this sheet. So the first field, generally for those like certain forms, such as request forms, sales orders, or even employee information, I always like to set the first field as an auto-generate field, or at least have one auto-generate field, since that sort of serves as the ID number for this record. And setting an auto-generate field, you can also, such as setting the different formats. So I just, since it's request number, I just sort of made it like RQ dash and the 5-digit number. And there's a date, and there's a submitter right here. Note that I've defaulted to current user, so meaning that the user who's submitting the database will be populated in this field. So if I'm the submitter, then this field will populate Ping and Fabio quote. And just for some fun information, Ping N is actually my the English translation of my Chinese name. And there's a department and a position. Well, these two fields should be selection fields if you have pre-designed the departments and the positions beforehand, but this time I didn't do so. It will be a little bit more complicated, and it's also not the key part of the design, so I've kept it as a free text. And regarding these two fields, the purpose and the travel plan, since I think these fields will be in more detail, such as you may list quite a few purposes, such as you need to meet first of all, you need to meet a specific client, enter an exhibition, go to a factory, etc. And travel plan is also the same. It's not the same content, but it's also the same logic. So I made this sort of a paragraph field, but it's actually a free text field that is bigger. Simple. What you can do is just simply add a free text field right here, and then just drag this row, drag this wider than how it should be, then it will become a paragraph field. And departure date, return date, then this is simply just a date field. And I've also listed a subtable right here because I think it will be best, because when you're traveling, it's usually a group of members. So one person will just need to submit the whole travel request for a whole group. So you don't need it to be like different people submitting for different groups. And just to make my processing easier, I made this a free text field as well. It should be, I'd say probably a better would be the select user field, and then make with a link and load. And unfortunately, I do not have that many users in my database, and so that's not the main part. So let me just start with how this sheet will be created. Let me create a record first. Again, when you have modified the design of your sheet, make sure to click save. All right, let's click on new. So as you can see, there are already fields that are automatically populated, which are the auto generate field. It automatically generates a sequence. So right now I'm on the 5th record, RQ-00005. It should be 1, but before this webinar, I've already created a few test records. So now, and I've deleted it. Now it becomes to the 5th record. You can reset the sequence, but I don't think that's necessary for me. So right now, let me just keep continue creating a record. I'm just gonna request date. It can be today. Department salesperson. Purpose. Just gonna list two purposes right here. Travel plan. Let's say 5. These, yeah. I'm just gonna make a simple travel plan right here. I can't get a very detailed travel plan off the top of my head because we do not do a lot of travels in Ragic. All right, I'm just gonna create a departure date and then a return date. So that should be about like 9 days. Should be this one. So right now, let me stop right here because Dawn just asked for dates. Is there a format that would allow just a year, or would you have to format the field as numeric? Well, generally date fields are date fields, and then you can format how you want the field to be, such as how you want to display the month, how you want to display the years, display the dates, and also like the orders. If you want the slashes or do you want the dashes, etc. There are a lot of ways to do so. I'll show you how to do the formatting later after I finish the form, and I'll go to the design mode afterward. Travel. All right, let me save a record right here. And as you see, there are approval flows right here. So there are basically 2 steps of approvals. And also there's an action button right here called convert to information sheet. Now, before I execute them, let me go to design mode to show what I've done with these approvals and the actions. So this is probably like the most important part of this webinar, because approval and using the convert records button is very key to creating workflows for your database. So let me go. Where do you create a convert record button? Go to form tools right here, and then you can see there's a convert record button, convert records custom button, and also there are different other custom buttons such as update values, which will allow you to update a certain value on this sheet regarding when you executed the action. Update a value on another sheet. Basically, it's update values, but it's updated on another sheet when you execute it on the record that matches the other record on the other sheet. Send custom email, or basically clicking on this button. Clicking on this button created from here, we will basically send an email to just sending a custom email regarding what you've set up. But this time, there'll be convert records. Now, convert records, as I've just mentioned previously, it's simply creating a new record on your target sheet, which for this will be the information sheet, the second sheet. I'll talk about it later. So you'll convert it over there, and you'll basically simply throw your selected data there. Now, how do you set your selected data to be converted onto the target sheet? Let's see right here. So first of all, you have to select which sheet you want to convert this record to. So I have selected convert to a business travel information sheet. Right here, you'll see all the sheets that you can convert to. and you'll be mapping every field regarding which field you want to be which fields should be the value on the other sheet. I've already created the second sheet, so I can simply select which fields I would like, and if you click on auto mapping fields, it will try to guess which fields should be converted to the other field, but it won't be 100% correct, so you'll still need to do a manual check while setting this up. So these are the fields. Use value from this field and fill in this field. This is this sheet right here. The left part is simply the fields on the sheet that you are right here. The fields on the right will be the fields that you want to be converted to the target sheet. And advanced settings are very important. There are different advanced settings that you can apply, such as check if converted to not empty fields, converting empty values to not empty fields when executed. These settings are very self-explanatory, but personally, I would really suggest selecting recalculate all formulas on the target sheet, because you won't need to execute in the recalculation again when the field is not converted to a field which has the formula. Execute workflow on the target sheet, simply similar to what recalculating formulas, which simply if you have a certain workflow such as integrating with another sheet or certain workflows that you've custom built, I think that is really worth it because you don't have to do it again on your target sheet afterward. And lock source record. So after you click on this button, this record that you've just converted will be locked, and you won't be able to you'll still be able to unlock it if you're the sysadmin, but it won't be that easy. And then after you're done, just simply create convert button. Create it, and then you'll be able to save your buttons. And then after, let me just click right here. Since I already created it, it simply just updated the buttons. It will be here as an action button in your form settings. So it's under form settings, and it should be issued under actions. And convert into information sheet. That's the name I've just set up. It's an action type called the JS workflow, which is a specific type for workflows. Converting records is also a workflow. And of course, there are different actions that you can add if you need to. Oops. So there's such as different, I call them action tools because there are different tools that you can set as actions, such as clone entry, download Excel, download PDF, set it as printer friendly, email this entry, apply all formulas, which is recalculation. I like to use this tool a lot, especially when you have a lot of formulas set on one certain sheet. Unfortunately, I do not have a lot of formulas right here. I will have a few in the next sheet I'll be talking about. Lock record, unlock record. You can also add these as well. Delete entry, I don't use it that much. Link and load sync. This is also very key when you have a lot of link and load relationships set in your database. All right, but I don't need that. Let me just exit without saving so it doesn't mess up my sheet design. And another thing I would like to talk about is to set up your approval flow. Now, approval flows, I'll be talking two parts about this. One is setting it up as a designer, and then the other part is to use it as an approver. So approval configuration are in the bottom right corner right here, where you see configure approval flow for this form. And if you do not hover to it, you'll see this person with a checkmark icon. Click on this. I've set up 2 approval steps. You can select how you would like who to approve these sheets. such as anyone, which is simply anyone, direct supervisors, supervisor of supervisor, supervisor of previous approver, certain groups, certain users, or certain users from the select user field. However, since I will be processing this, I will also be processing the approval for the ease of use. I've set it to be myself, so I can show you how the approval works if needed. But you can simply select how you like which approvers should approve this form. Regarding the second sheet, I'll talk about this later, because you'll see how I will be converting this one sheet to another sheet. Regarding the second sheet is this sheet, business travel information entry. I'll talk about it later on after I finish the conversion, because it's a workflow and there are rules and regulations during the workflow, so I can do it step by step. And regarding the formatting of the auto-generate field, it's right here. You can set up the formats. So there are different formats that you can also use if needed. Like you can add dates, you can modify the how you want the dates to be, how many digits you want to be, etc. All right, back to the approval flow. Now I've set this up as myself, so I'll be showing it to you how to use your approval flows. And on the other hand, there are also different settings that you can apply. It's very comprehensive, and I think it's a very key function in the Ragic database. By clicking on the gear icon on the right of each step, so there are different steps right here. Click. There are different, different options that you can select, such as setting rules. So you can add a new rules so when the condition matches this rule, on this step will be applied, such as if a submitter is a certain person, then this submitter variable is checked, then this approval step will be applied, or just simply any conditions regarding your record. And also you can add more users in this, add more approvers in this step. So in one step you can have multiple approvers, and once that's the case, two users will be two users will be part of this step, and both of them will have to approve once to go to the next step. Let me save this design for now. And also after you have more than one approver, in a step, then there's another function called set threshold for approval. So for example, if one approval step has more than, such as have 5 users, and you want to only 2 approvals will be needed in this step, then you can set a threshold and set it as 2. But however, this I won't be showing how to process a threshold approval, since that will need multiple users and it will be hard for me to use multiple accounts. I'll be just showing how you process an approval from one account afterward. And to delete a step, also click on this gear icon and set delete. It's also really easy to add an approval step. Just add it right here and just simply add the approval step that you like to use. And there are also one final part of the approval is advanced settings. So you can allow strict identity verifications. Let's see what. So it's more. It's to ensure the authenticity of electronic records, make it to comply with a certain law. And you can allow to reject approval. And so the approvers will be allowed to reject the approval during the during the process, and once the approval is rejected, the whole approval process will will need to start all over again, and the user will have to click on cancel approval first to do so. I've added this feature in the second sheet. Again, I'll show it to you afterward. Don't worry. And log record approval starts. Start approval when after saving a new record. Digital signature, well, simply says a signature. Simply makes your approval as a signature, and you have to sign on. It provides you with a place to sign, but it will be easier if you're using a tablet. And also the notification feed settings, etc. These are all the different features that you can apply now. Let's save this design and see how it works. Exit. So I finished a sheet, a simple business travel request. Let's start this approval. Start approval. So since I'm approving this sheet, you'll see this approve button. But if you're still thinking that, as an approver, you think that, this may need some modification. This sheet may need some modification in the approval flow. You can go to the plus sign right here, click on it. You can change the approver, add a new step after this step. So after I approve, instead of putting in Fabio quote and then the second step, which is also me, there will be a step in between. Add an approver in this step. Invite another approver to also approve this record with the same step as me. So me and the other approver will need to approve this form before going to this next step. And add a new step before this step. So basically, before I complete an approval, I would like somebody to approve it first. So if I'm the manager, I would like a certain group leader to have to grant the approval first before I do so. I can do this as an approver and add these approvers when I would like to. And let's just click on approve. Since these two steps are of me, it will automatically approve both steps. And now once this is approved, I can convert to the information sheet. Oh, one thing I forgot to talk about is that on the action button, I can also select only executable when approved. I should have selected that first. So I can only execute this action button to convert this record when approved. Save and save right here. So let me cancel this approval right now and let's refresh this page. So once I try to click on this button before the approval, it will say that only executable when approved because I've enabled this feature. Now, this is really important if you're using a workflow because you can only go to the next step once you are approved to do so. So setting this feature is really important if you have a workflow with approvals in your database. Now finally, let's finish this sheet and convert to the information sheet. Again, approving the sheet, convert, ta-da. Now we're finally here in the second sheet called the business travel information entry. It was blank in the beginning, and I've just converted all the selected details onto this sheet. And so if you can see, there are certain fields that already have values because this is done by converting records onto the sheet. The data is thrown onto the sheet and I've converted a new record for it. And regarding the sheet, if you're using converting records, let's go to the design mode right now. One thing I would do is for a certain key field, I would set this as unique, which prevents you to convert a record more than once. So that's if I go back to the business travel request sheet and I try to convert it again, it will say that the RQ0005 is already in the database. This is from the travel request sheet. And then which value is this? It's from the request. It's on the request number field, which I've set it as unique. So this prevents you to duplicate a conversion. And personally, for me, with the fields that are converted and those should not be edited, I would set them as read only, so I'll prevent anybody from editing it manually. But however, with the fields that are supposed to be manually processed, such as for this sheet, with the travel information sheet, I would like another team to manage this sheet, such as a management team. And they'll be processing like the hotels, the hotel rooms, the tickets, the transportation, etc., the orders for them. I would like them to do so right here. Then these fields, well, of course, you cannot enable the read-only feature because they need to edit them. So purpose travel plan, once they're approved, they're always locked. And same right here. Same right here. Some fields are in read only, some fields are not. Their own travel information. And that's pretty self-explanatory. And also converting a new record, I would also suggest using another auto-generated field, which for this one I've set it as the sequence number as BT and the 5-digit number, and also select user field and a team field. Save right here. So again I can select. So for this one, after conversion, these two are the defaultly populated. I've set this because it will allow. Well, first of all, the auto-generated field is I need auto-generated value, pretty self-explanatory. And for this field, the team field, I've set it as a select group field, and I've also enabled a very important feature. I forgot to talk about. One feature that you can do is to set selected group as entry manager. So people in the management team, they will be in charge of this record and process all the business travel information entry. And they can also, from the process by field, they can also select a certain user from the management team if you have enabled to select a user from the management team. But right now, because I don't think I've had a user in the management team yet, I've set it as all users right now. And there are also other functions that you can use, such as multiple select, invite user to review this record, and default to current user. As a sysadmin right now, I'm also acting as a user to process them too. Get save. So the process right here is once the management team receives the converted record, they will be notified since they're the entry manager. The one specific user from the management team they can select themselves. So they'll be the entry owner as well. But I'd say the whole team will be the entry owner for this case. And then they'll pre-processing the information by themselves and enter the contact number and email, upload their ID and passport images. I'm just gonna type in some random stuff right here. Of course, these numbers and emails are not real. And also like these these names, these traveling names, I've just made it from myself. It could be coincidentally correct, since people may have those names, but it's not. It's made up by myself. Prepaid expenses for this part, because I said that management team, they'll be such as managing the orders of transportation, hotels, gifts, etc. So they'll be processing them as well. So I've also added a price field. And of course, there will be a lot of prepaid expenses that you need in a trip. I won't be listing a lot of them out, since there will be also different hotel rooms, different formatting of how you should enter your hotel rooms or transportation, etc. And I won't be listing them out. I'm just going to list some of them. Expected allowance details: car, on site, and these fields right here. I've set the formula to calculate all the total price values here. So this is all with formula set up, and if you have referred to my previous webinars, these values will calculate automatically. And so here, because I'll calculate all the values right here. Again, I can click on save, and just like what we just done on the other sheet, on the first sheet right here. Again, there's an action, start approval, and I've added approve and reject here. This allows the approver to reject the approval, saying that, oh, this needs to be redone. So if I reject it, reason, you can enter a reason, but it's optional. So it will show a rejected right here. Now, once you've rejected and like the processor has to redo this form again, if you have locked this record, you need to click cancel approval first, which simply brings you to the form status before the approval. And then you have to re-enter the values, reformat the fields, redesign. No, you don't redesign, but simply edit the things that are incorrect in your database before starting a new approval. And one thing that I like to, this has to be separated into different sheets. As you see that I've separated this workflow into 3 different sheets is because each sheet you can have its own access right settings. So for example, I can set this access right as the management where there will be admins of this sheet. Yes, correct and resubmit. Yeah, that I was thinking about that phrase. It couldn't pop up on the top of my head. And back to the setting up access rights. Basically, every access rights in Ragic are set up by individually by every sheet. So, for example, the first sheet, the business travel request sheet, they may have users may have access rights, but for this sheet, I only want the management, and the users can only be viewers. So basically, the submitter, they'll be allowed to view their own. Actually, they should be survey users, so they can view their own the entries that they've converted and submitted, and enable no edit and no create. That means they're simply they'll be viewing records that they are the entry managers of, but unfortunately they can only view. And just check everything is correct. Form settings, actions. Again, I forgot to add only executable when approved. Should have added that before. Save changes. Save. And then everything's fine. Looks fine. Let's start approval. And your users will be able to approve and reject right here. Regarding the use of approvals, I forgot to mention, it's not only done on the records right here. The approvers, they will receive the records that needs their approvals. They will receive it via their mobile app and via their email, and they'll also receive it if they're in the Ragic system via the notification bell on top right here. And if they're using their mobile app or they're going from emails, they can directly execute the approval from their emails, from their mobile app. They won't necessarily have to enter the Ragic system to do so. Now, what that is very beneficial is because, well, simply I'd say it's really easy to approve some things because they can also view the record and then on their emails and then simply just submit their approvals, which means they don't need to enter the system. And the best part of that means that your records can be approved anytime, anywhere. So no matter where your boss is at or your approvers are at, you don't really need to, like, in the traditional way, such as asking them for their approval, calling them, saying that, I need that paperwork stamped, I need you to sign this sheet and whatever. Everything is done digitally, and it's all integrated in the Ragic database in this whole system. Some other systems, they may need another application to do their approvals. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but the best part in Ragic is that everything is all in one. Your database creation is in one system. All your data is in one system. Sheets are all in one system, and your approvals are also in one system. So that's the best part of it. Everything's integrated there. Everything is done in one place. Simple as that. Again, let's go to approve. Approval done. Convert to monetary application. This is the third sheet and the final sheet that I'll be talking about this webinar. So again, I've also actually this auto generate field. These fields are converted. I can select which fields I want to convert, and the process random person. Random name that I just thought of. And again, these, as you can see, these fields are read-only, not editable anymore. And then they can process the fields that they are not read-only. So, for example, the expenses here that they paid, yes. I'll do the tick on this provided field afterward because there's a special part to it. I'm going to add the date here, paid today, method. So, as you can see, that have an all done field right here. This is also like a checkbox field. I've set a formula to say that if these two fields are ticked, then this is automatically ticked as well. I've set a conditional formula to do so. And if you have any questions about how to set the formulas, I'll go into the design mode and to show you which formula I just used. And on the other hand, since I'd say formulas are very customized and they have to be personalized in terms of which people need different formulas. So if once you need to set the formulas for your system, I suggest to go to the formulas document page and then to find the best formula to do so. I always refer back to the formula documents page, which is probably the most important document in the database from my perspective. And so this is the formula I used for this. Again, when you set a formula, you'll also see that there's an fx. So this is the formula I used. It's a combination of the conditional if formula and using the and part to combine two conditions together. So it's when two conditions are matched, then this will be executed. That's how the formulas work. And also since that's basically like a simple workflow, converting from one sheet to the next and then to the final sheet, adding approval flows in between, and also selecting an option to only execute the action button when the record is approved. So this is general workflow of how to convert one sheet to another. Now, let's go back to the first sheet right now. So what if, for example, you have edited if this sheet is not locked. Let me unlock this record for now. If you're the sysadmin, you can go to the history, and then there's on the bottom of this you can manually unlock or lock record. Let's go back down. I'm going to minimize this for now. So if you have made an edit on you only have access rights to the business travel request sheet. After you have converted this record onto the second sheet called the business travel information entry sheet, you have made the conversion. However, you do not have editing access rights on the information entry sheet, but you would like to update the data there. How do you do so? So as mentioned before, I've set a unique field over there, which is the request number field. So you cannot duplicatedly convert. You cannot convert a duplicated record. Now, once the record is already converted once, and you would like to update it, then this time comes to the update value on the sheet button. So you would like to update another value of the business travel information entry sheet. So the second, which fields do you want to update? So for example, I want to update the. Let me just do one field. Let me just do it for one field. Position update to the position field. And which is, so the last part is when this field, the matching criteria. So when this field value on the sheet matches to this field on the business travel information entry sheet, request number. So, whoops, this should be request number. So if these two fields are equal, the value will be updated. Okay, advanced settings, check which advanced settings you would like to use. Not necessarily needed to do so. And then create update value. I'm just enter a random, not random, your pre-designed, your selected name for it. Save right now. So for example, I'm just going to change my position, so I'm not a salesperson anymore, I'm a manager. And right now, as mentioned before, I cannot convert because this is already in the database, but I can update. Now, once this is updated, remember I was a salesperson. Let's go to business travel entry and see which position I'm at right now. See, now my position is updated to a manager because it's updated via a update values workflow. And last but not least, if needed, this will not work complete. This situation right now, this condition right now will not completely fit, but if you have different, since this will not fit because one is a convert button, one is an update button. If needed, for example, you have quite a few update buttons, such as you want to update this field, update another field, etc. If you want to execute it all at once, instead of clicking needing to clicking like 10 buttons, there is a function called, or a feature called, the combine buttons. Now you can select different buttons and then combine the selected button. So I'm just gonna call it combined. And this will be a third button in your database. And now if you would only want your users to click on this combine button, you can hide the other action buttons. So for example, although this won't be the best case scenario, and this will not work because my conversion will not be valid. Your converted information, if you only want them to click on the combine button, so you can hide this action button. You can hide this action button. Save changes for every button. So now your sheet will only display the combine button. See, and now the button is only combined, which is the combine button of both sheets, of both buttons, and they can only execute, your users and also yourself can only execute this button. And there's a lot of different workflow settings that you can apply, such as you may need to send custom emails regarding your records, regarding regarding different conditions, they are all done via the custom buttons in the form tools. And that's how you sort of like create a workflow in your database to pass from one sheet to another using the update values on another sheet button. If you need to update a value to another sheet, which I've just talked about. But the most important part is to use the convert records, which simply creates a new record on another sheet, and also most importantly, setting up your customized approval flow. Add the different steps you would like to use, set different rules, set thresholds, add different users. A lot of settings that all integrated in as one in the Ragic database. And that's basically it for a general understanding of how to create workflows and integrate approvals in your Ragic database. And of course, I'm just doing a simple mock-up right here. So I only have 3 sheets, but for a lot of organizations, you may need to have more sheets, more approval steps, more rules, etc. So how do you reorganize them? First of all, you really need to understand the process of how your organization is going to process data. Which rules do they need? Which people should be related? You need to have this information in mind first before creating your sheets and creating your system. Once you have everything organized, then you can simply go to creation of the sheets, add in different features, and also customize the workflows. But having this logic in mind for your organization is key. That's very important for a lot of functions in the Ragic database, and since Ragic is a do-it-yourself database software, it's all determined on how you would like to how your organization or your team's workflow should want to be. And that's pretty much it for the workflow and the approval design. And just as mentioned by user Mr. Francisco Galdames, you would like me to talk a little bit about backup and restore features. Well, they are all in the account setup part under the start tab, account setup, or you can go in via the shortcut. And actually, no, it's not right. Shortcut doesn't have the account to go to the account setup, but it also goes to the manage users, recent changes, and the recycle bin. Actually, just simply go start account setup and backup and restore. You only need to use this. You can download a backup. You don't need to use it that often if you're just like if you do not have a lot of databases, but it always comes in handy. Well, first of all, Ragic they automatically back up your database daily, weekly, and bi-weekly. Now you can download those previously backed up files, or you can download a backup by clicking on this and just simply download which type of backup you would like to use. And once you've already downloaded a backup, you can restore it onto your other databases. So for example, one of the most frequent cases are if you are using a test database you've created a test database account for yourself and you've named it as, for me, probably I named it as Fabio. But I would like to now apply what I've just designed for the organization, but I don't want to restart this design. How do I do so? Well, first of all, I would create a new account for the organization and then download the backup right here from my old database and then restore it over there. Now keep in mind that because Ragic, your data may be stored in different servers. So if you are backing up and then restoring data onto databases on different servers, then you have to download the compressed backup format. And this is determined by the first 3 letters of this your database, of the URL of your database. So for my case, you unfortunately can't see my URL right here, but it will say that it will show like ap2.ragic.com/my database name and then etc. Some of yours may be saying that it's showing as na2.ragic.com/our database name. Now, if that's the case with different starting with the different first three letters of your database, then you need a to back up at a compressed backup format. So this is selected right here, default backup format and compressed backup format. And yes, it will take a bit longer to create. So I've just downloaded a backup, but I don't think it will be a bit troublesome for me to restore it, since it will take a while and it will reset all my database regarding what I've just downloaded, although it should be the same thing. And then you restore it right here. Choose your Ragic file to restore. Choose your Ragic file to restore, upload it, and then it will completely overwrite your whole database regarding what you've just restored. So if you already have design sheets such as are these two tabs, these two sheets, and I've restored a completely different database, all these sheets will be wiped out. All your settings will be wiped out. Just keep in mind with that. And that's basically about the backup and restores of the database. And yeah, I guess it's about time to enter the conclusion of this webinar. So I'll be here for a few more questions if you would like to ask about this webinar, about how to use approvals, about how to create workflows, set up different workflows in general, and also feel free to ask me about anything related to Ragic. Can you delete the data in a Ragic database but maintain everything else? I'm a bit uncertain about your question, Don, because you can easily delete data here. Because it can easily delete data right here, delete selected, and then import and then create new data. And I'm not really sure about what you meant by maintaining everything else. Would you mind elaborating on that a bit? You would like to do it in mass import? Are you referring to that? I mean, you can mass keep shields data. If you simply just delete your records that you created, it will not affect anything in your sheet design. So keep your sheets, your fields, your field configurations, your link and load, etc. Delete all the. I mean, if you delete the records, it will not affect your sheet design. But if you are simply just what I just mentioned, overwriting your database, then yes, what you've just set up, such as even your sheets, will be completely gone. Will be completely overwritten. How do you delete many records at once? Let's see if I could create a few really quickly. All right, I'm just gonna create quite a few really quickly, but there will be blank records. So now I have four records. I want to delete the three of them. I can select it on the left right here, and then click on delete selected. That's how you delete a lot of records at once. And if you're talking about like editing massively, the, a checkbox that will check off every row. Click on the first the. This is the field header part for the listing page. Click on this one, and then we'll select the top. There's a checkbox at the top, and then it will check everything down below. I only have one record right now, so I only have one record right now, so you might see that it's only for one record. But if it's for multiple records, clicking on this one on the top next to the field headers, it will check off every record on this listing page. And feel free to ask more questions. I'll be here for another few more minutes and to answer your questions. In general, we host the webinars once a month. So I guess this webinar will probably be the last of 2020, since the next webinar should be in January 2021. And if you've just started your Ragic database, I strongly recommend you to start your 30-day free trial, because you'll have access to all the Ragic features, all the Ragic, creating as many Ragic sheets, and basically, I would say that you'll basically need to at least use the professional plan to do many things that I've just done. Yeah, you can, if needed, we also have quite a few tutorials in our YouTube channel, and also some of my previous webinars that talked about the different functions, different set of functions, and different ways of approaching your database. Because Ragic, I'd say it's a very comprehensive database tool. There's a lot of functions. And if you have a lot of questions, any questions in the future, again, feel free to submit a support ticket via the Need Help button, and our friendly support staff will answer your questions as soon as possible. We'll always try to help you to provide you with a solution or guide you in the right direction. All right, it's 10:45 a.m. here in where I'm at. For your information, if you do not know yet, we are from Taiwan. Our office is located. I'm located in Taiwan, so we're in the GMT +8 time zone. So it would be a good time to end this webinar right now. And yeah, thanks for all your participation. Thanks for your questions, your comments. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us via the need help button. And wish you all an early Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you. And bye.